Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode number 85 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I'm your host, Joe Laney Pavon. I'm Joe. He's Justin. We have Danny. Danny will join us in the podcast a little bit later. He's eating dinner right now. Big race weekend happened these past 2 days. 4 Sports Car Series championships finished their season through endurance racing all in the same weekend, something very rare that happens in motorsport. But in 2020, they all had to come together, especially the WEC and IMSA. We hardly ever see them clash. And we'll discuss Formula One, the MotoGP Championship that has been clinched by Joan Mir, first Suzuki rider to win a championship in 20 years. We'll bring you details on MotoGP a little bit later. And we'll get started with Formula One, the Turkish Grand Prix. First time in 9 years that the Turkish Grand Prix was held in Istanbul Park Circuit, which was the Herman Tilke designed race course that brought the inaugural race in 2005 and most recent race, of course, in 2011. And after 9 years later, no one knew that we'd be coming back there. And with the current situation that the world is under, it only made sense to go to which tracks were available. And after Mugello, Imola, and Nürburgring, here we are, new racetrack, new situation, and another piece of history being made by Lewis Hamilton. Who could be surprised? A 7-time world champion, Justin.
Oh my, I remember the race, it was so interesting, Lewis getting his 7th title in that race, because Mercedes, the tires would not grip, even on the dry compounds in the first 2 practices. Practice 3, they couldn't grip in the rain. Hamilton qualified 6th, and Bottas 9th. In the first lap, Lewis got one of the best starts. Max did not have the best start at all, which the 2 racing points passed him, and then Hamilton took 3rd, and then Ocon spun with Ricciardo, and then Bottas spun, I think, 4 times in that race.
He was a spinning top. Verstappen spun 3 times. All over the place. Somehow managed to get points. But let's go ahead and look at the podium results. Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes. It's the usual Hamilton. He led 22 laps in the race. Started 6th. Picked up his 94th career win. His 163rd career podium. And most importantly, clinched that 7th World Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton now officially joins Michael Schumacher on that elite list, a list that one point would be laughable for any driver to come close to Michael Schumacher's record, whether that be record on Grand Prix wins or record in World Drivers' Championships.
Yeah.
And this wasn't your usual Lewis Hamilton cruise to victory in a Mercedes Formula One race that we have been accustomed to these last 6-7 years.
No, it was not. He started P6. And I guess the last time he started P6, which I don't remember what race it was. Last time he started P6, he won the race. So the next time he started P6, he won again. But it was not like starting on the pole and all that. No, he didn't. No, the pole was interesting. That pole sitter, it's just nobody ever thought, but it's Max was good in the first 2 sessions, so he'll be fastest in the 3rd session. No, he was not. He didn't get pole in the Q3. He got 2nd. It was interesting.
So I'm doing my research here. You said about Lewis Hamilton starting 6th. Well, he started 6th about, I think, 5 times in his career. Shanghai 2010, the Chinese Grand Prix, finished 2nd for McLaren. He finished 2nd again in Hockenheim later that same year. So, the Grand Prix of Germany, finished 4th, or actually finished 4th at Hockenheim. But then he won at Silverstone at home in 2014, and then this race. So, you are right. He did.
His last start Yeah, the last time he started 6, he won, so he did that again from 6th place.
It's a little sad. If you think about it, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but he had a good start compared to he had a good start, and then the brakes didn't warm up enough on that first lap, so he dropped a little bit. But he got a better start. Max did not get the best start in 2nd place on the initial. Oh, everybody kept passing him. I'm like, I was so confused at the start of what was going on with him.
All right. Before we get any further on Max Verstappen here, let's discuss the driver who finished 2nd place, and that, of course, was Sergio Perez. Checo led 2 laps in the race after starting 3rd. This was the 9th podium of his career, first since Azerbaijan in 2018. As for Perez, it's the best finish of his career for the 3rd time. He finished 2nd in Malaysia. And the other race, what was that, Hockenheim? Sergio Perez, I think it was another race in 2012 where he finished 2nd in that same season. Oh, it was Monza, my bad. But Checo pulled a great drive in that last turn ditch where Leclerc made a mistake. It looked like Leclerc was going to secure 2nd and Perez 3rd. No, that didn't happen. By the way, this is the first podium. Yeah, I think I mentioned the first podium for Checo since Baku 2018.
Yeah.
And double points for Racing Point. Well, best finish for the team since their Force India days.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was actually with 2009. Actually, that was Rubens Barrichello. Let's move down to Vettel. How about this? Sebastian Vettel, my favorite driver, currently in Formula One. Finally, a podium. First time since Mexico City 2019, which feels like 5 years ago or something.
Well, also about the thing about I heard about Ferrari, they're good in rain conditions with the surface at the track. But the thing about we expect rain at places like that, but next 3 races we don't expect rain at Bahrain. If there's rain at Bahrain, I don't know. I've seen sandstorms at Bahrain, but not rain yet. If Abu Dhabi, hopefully there's no rain at Abu Dhabi. Because if there is, there's something a little wrong. Or Bahrain's literally.
I saw what happened at Dubai Autodrome, not so far away from Yas Marina Circuit.
But that's more chance than Bahrain's literally in the desert. So if there's rain there, there's something wrong. There might be a sandstorm. That's the only thing we expect at Bahrain.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But Sebastian Vettel started 11th in the race, had a very eventful drive to get 3rd. His 121st career podium, and as I mentioned, his first podium since 2019 in the Mexican Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And 4th, Charles Leclerc almost had the 2nd place locked up before Leclerc's slight mistake in the final set of turns. Leclerc started 12th and felt shy from getting what could have been his 13th career podium.
Yeah.
Ferrari, this is their best finish of the entire 2020 season.
Yeah.
With Ferrari as a whole. They had the worst season so far.
Yeah, Vettel is still 13th in points, with only 33 points. He's 7 ahead of Kvyat. That's where, but Leclerc got more points. That's why Vettel still has 33. Right. I know he got a podium, but the thing is, he's not Hamilton. Why was I gonna say Hamilton? Leclerc's been finishing more in the points than Vettel this season. which is helping Leclerc being
P5 in the World Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, that really helps him compared to Vettel's around around where Kvyat is in points with 33 points.
So Ferrari, this whole World Championship, double points finishes were either a position and then another position where the other driver would get 10th. Just so wherever you are, the other driver gets 10.
Yeah,
all the double points races this year, except for what happened yesterday.
3rd and 4th, yeah. Because I've been noticing Turkey has not. I know Turkey has straights, but also a lot of corners.
Yes.
But Bahrain and Abu Dhabi have a lot of straights, so that's kind of gonna not help the Ferrari case with. But we know Valtteri's not gonna be mad because we're racing at a track that's dry, not raining, like yesterday.
No, it wasn't Bottas who won Bahrain last year. What was it?
No, it was Hamilton again because of Leclerc's engine was the pace. Remember he had an engine issue. Bottas ended up getting second. Leclerc got the podium because of there was a safety car
in the last 2 laps.
Yeah, because both
losing a podium.
Because both Renaults had an engine failure, one after the other, which was interesting. Yeah.
All right. So Leclerc and Vettel bring Ferrari the best finish of the 2020 Formula One World Championship, 5th place. Carlos Sainz Jr., a very solid run for Sainz as he races for 3 more times at McLaren. 6th place, Max Verstappen. Verstappen led 1 lap. He started 2nd. Albon finished 7th after leading a lap like his teammate did. And Red Bull, very, very important. Double points finish for Red Bull Racing Honda.
Yeah. But it was not their best event. Usually you see them on the podium. It's usually both Mercedes and a Red Bull. But, the thing is, the Red Bulls were good in qualifying. The race, it's just they didn't get a good start. Especially Max. Max had one of the worst starts. He didn't go compared to both the racing points. And then you saw a couple cars passing him. And then Max was fighting back, but then Max was so aggressive around lap 18. Max ended up trying to make the move on Perez, and Max went so wide off the corner, hit the curb, and spun.
There are many times that Max could have thrown that away, throw away a chance at the points here. He has exactly 70 points over Perez at the World Drivers' Championship, but hang on there.
Yeah, he could have messed. He could have made a mistake, but he could have. If he would have spun more, he could have hit the barrier. He didn't, which was a really good thing for the Red Bull team to still get points.
Yeah. All right. Lando Norris picked up the fastest lap after starting 14th. McLaren ends their streak of non-double points finishes that date all the way back to the Italian Grand Prix when they finished 2nd and 4th. It looked like that momentum was going to carry on, but only the driver would have success, and I think McLaren will have more momentum. Maybe when Ricciardo joins next year, and against Carlos Sainz,
but also the Mercedes power unit. Because Mercedes engines, they're better than the Renault engines. If you relatively speak, even the racing points, they're having Mercedes engines. They have good speed on the straights. I'm sorry, Williams. I know they have a good power unit, but it's just their car just doesn't handle the racing point, which is literally just copying the W10 from Mercedes from last year, And people even made a joke. Racing Point. No. Mercedes 1 and 2, but it's Perez second in the last year's Mercedes, which was so funny when I saw that.
Right. Okay. Lance Stroll.
Oh
boy, how do I get started on Lance Stroll? Lance Stroll won his first career pole, becoming just the third Canadian Formula One driver to win a pole position, joining the likes of Gilles Villeneuve and his son, the 1997 world champion Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah.
And Lance Stroll joins that club. Stroll had 32 laps, and with that pole position, he joins. He becomes the first pole sitter for Racing Point F1, and in the team's lineage, which goes back to Rubens Barrichello and Force India. Rubens Barrichello was the driver who picked up the pole for him in the Belgian Grand Prix in 2009.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember what he said. He literally made the pit stop. Remember he pitted? He made that pit stop. Do you know what he started saying on the team right as he got up pit road? The tires were degrading already. Yeah, the track was eating up the tires like half a lap in. The track was already eating up his tires, which is not a good thing when the track eats up the tires right away.
No.
Yeah.
And lastly, Daniel Ricciardo fought against his teammate Esteban Ocon and get that final point spot. So Ricciardo showing very good numbers, especially in these last few races. Just take a look at Ricciardo finishing in the points every race except for 3. The Austria Grand Prix, 70th anniversary Grand Prix at Silverstone, and the Spanish Grand Prix were his only 3 races this season that he went without scoring points. Those numbers are very impressive.
Yeah.
In terms of consistency. 11th place, Esteban Ocon started 7th. Danny Kvyat 12th. Pierre Gasly, no points for AlphaTauri, which drops AlphaTauri down from Ferrari. Ferrari's unexpected performance that was in yesterday's race at Istanbul propelled them up to 6th of the World Constructors Championship. So AlphaTauri, Honda will have to catch up in these next 3 races if they want to improve in the constructors. Valtteri Bottas picked up his 3rd non-points finish for 2020, finishing 14th. The Finnish driver had some trouble in the rain.
Yeah, he did. Like his car was sliding everywhere, and I remember him sliding wide off the track at a couple points of the race. Yeah, the car was sliding. Like, remember, they were on wets, but then they went onto the inters. Like, the first person that went on the inters was Leclerc, and he was doing fast lap time, so they switched to that. But the inters are not like the full wet tires. The inters have less grip on so much rain, so every driver was just slipping around, and he was literally struggling to keep the car on the track without spinning.
Kimi Räikkönen finished 15th. George Russell, who started from pit lane, finished in 16th. For Williams, Kevin Magnussen gets credited for finishing the race, even though he failed to finish after.
No, it just says withdrew, so I don't know.
He left the race on his own terms after having problems in the Haas Ferrari. Magnussen started 13th, but since he completed 90% of the race distance, the FIA did classify him as finishing.
Yeah.
And then the retirements start with Romain Grosjean, who had collision damage.
Yeah.
Just what can
he couldn't do anything. Yeah, he made contact and spun with Nicholas Latifi 10 laps earlier.
Latifi retired 10 laps prior to Romain Grosjean on lap 39, so Grosjean on lap 49 retired Then Latifi 10 laps prior for collision damage. And lastly, Antonio Giovinazzi retired on lap 11 with a gearbox problem. Danny, how's it going?
Yeah, here I am, guys. I'm finally back now. That was really unfortunate with the gearbox problem for Giovinazzi. That's unfortunate.
I think he made contact with one of the barriers during morning warm-ups.
Yes, he did. I remember. Yeah, he did slide into the barrier a little bit.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, like, do you want to know what's interesting about people are saying, oh, Grosjean's bad at Haas? I'm like, I was counting. Grosjean doesn't have many retirements compared to Magnussen. Magnussen has 6 and 14 races. So he's only completed 8 events, which is not the best indication that you have 6 DNFs. Some of them is not his fault. Like, remember last week he just because of remember he was getting a headache during the Imola, and Austria the first race. Remember he had the brake issues. Other than that, there's been races where he crashes. There's some races where he does mistakes. But people want to criticize Grosjean for being bad this year. I'm like, have you seen Kevin Magnussen's performance? That's probably why Haas is
But how Magnussen started, in his Formula One career, there were plenty of opportunities where he was performing well, and then has been, I don't want to say stuck, but just sitting there at Haas F1 while the team as a whole have been struggling.
Yeah.
And Romain Grosjean, I don't have anything against these drivers or the team or the designer, the people running it, but it's time for a change.
Yeah.
And I think they know that, especially hearing about the driver lineups being different for 2021.
Yeah, because they don't want to the thing about Grosjean, I've seen people say Grosjean's the worst F1 driver ever. I'm like, one, he has many podiums. He got a podium for Lotus at Belgium 2015 when his teammate kept crashing. Yes, Maldonado did.
Well, that's what happens if your teammate is passing Maldonado.
Yeah, but Grosjean kept doing better in those races. People always keep bringing about Grosjean being bad. I'm like, I remember when he got 6th in Haas's debut at Australia, get P6.
I do too. I remember that whole race.
But then his teammate Gutierrez crashed with Alonso. That was a scary crash. But Haas is just, their car is not the best. They don't. It's not like Williams bad, but it's not the best compared to the other Ferrari powered car of Alfa Romeo.
But I think the Ferrari power unit as a whole, they have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, because Alfa Romeo, they've lost some speed. Haas has lost some speed. Ferrari's obviously lost speed compared to last year. The Ferrari power unit's not compared to Mercedes where they're just cruising on the straightaways. Yeah.
Furthermore, the World Drivers' Championship, as we mentioned, has been clinched by Lewis Hamilton for the 7th time, a record-tying 7th World Championship. Only Michael Schumacher accomplished that feat in 2004.
Yeah, because then Alonso won 05-06 titles. Because I just remembered about then.
Although Schumacher was pretty close in 06,
but Alonso was
But Alonso was in another world.
Yeah, and then after that 07 he didn't race, and then his return to Mercedes, Rosberg beat him in all 3 seasons.
But you know what's fitting? Is that the driver who replaced the 7-time world champion, Michael Schumacher, was soon-to-be 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton.
And yeah, I know Mercedes was not good in 2013, so they didn't win the title. That was when Vettel and Red Bull were just dominating. And then in next year, that's when Mercedes had 2 championships with Hamilton, then Rosberg, and then now 4 titles in a row with Hamilton. The only non-Mercedes champ that Hamilton has is 2008, McLaren. Other than that, it's been Mercedes.
Justin, in 2014, people were starting to question whether Vettel could tie Fangio.
Oh, yeah.
Championships, and how Vettel won his 4 titles all consecutively, which is incredibly just outstanding. Fangio won his last 3 titles consecutively, or his last 4. From 4 to 57. But F1 was in a different nature then. But it's hard to win a World Drivers' Championship. You have to put the most perfect season together, and just ask Filipe Massa how close Massa was in 08.
Yep.
Sterling Moss. Let's not forget Moss.
I was literally counting. I just realized that Hamilton has 4 titles in a row. If he didn't have his engine failure at Malaysia, if he would have won the 2016 title, he would have had 5 in a row. But the engine failure at Malaysia really didn't help him at all. Yeah, but people say Lewis has always been the best car. I always keep bringing up the 2008 McLaren. They ran numbers 22 and 23 because the scandal with
Spygate.
In 2007. So they had no points, so they had the number 22 and 23, and Hamilton won the title in car number 22. It's funny, Jenson Button won the title in car 22 the next year, which was interesting.
Yes, he won that for Brown.
Yeah, that Braun GP
season. I wish they stayed.
But I heard Ross Braun bought the team for £1. The lowest number, literally a couple weeks before the season started. Then they finished They finished 1 and 2 at Australia. Yeah, in their debut, which was interesting.
Second in the World Drivers' Championship, Valtteri Bottas,
110
points, 110 back. Max Verstappen is third. He's somehow managed to get points that crazy event in Istanbul. 170 points, 70 points ahead of now Sergio Perez, who picked up that second place finish. Perez has 100 points. Charles Leclerc, fifth, 97 points. Sixth, Daniel Ricciardo, 96 points. So from Perez to Ricciardo, there is a battle amongst those three drivers in these final 3 races. Carlos Sainz, 1 point ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, 75 points for Sainz, 74 points for Lando Norris. Albon is 5 points behind Sainz with 70 points, and Pierre Gasly is 10th again with 63 World Championship points. There are a few battles.
Yeah.
I think between Sainz and Pierre Gasly, despite his consistency, Pierre Gasly could reach Sainz with a magical podium. I mean, we saw Gasly get that, of course.
But, the thing is, it's kind of weird, AlphaTauri, people said, their cars are not the best. Their car's actually better than last year. It's now it was Toro Rosso last year, so their car is literally named the AlphaTauri AT01. That's the name of the car, but it actually is a good car, handling, they've been running really well. It's but also I know that in the actual Bahrain circuit, Pierre Gasly in 2018, do you want to know where he finished? He finished 4th. in 2018 at Bahrain, which was an impressive finish. So he knows Bahrain, so we might get a good finish there, get some points at Bahrain.
Well, we got to talk constructors now.
Yep.
Because there are interesting things brewing in the World Constructors Championship side of things. Yeah. Obviously, Mercedes, they've locked up the WEC.
Yeah, they clinched it after Imola, so they're just extending on that lead over Red Bull.
Red Bull, 240 points. Is it realistic? Is that realistic? Or am I realistically correct to say that Racing Point or McLaren could catch
I just don't
Red Bull in the next 3 races?
How many points is there that Red Bull has
240. Racing Point 154 points. McLaren 149 points.
The 149, that is 91 points. But the thing about Red Bull, Max might get because of if the next 3 weekends are pretty normal, we might see Max getting podiums and Albon might get points, so it's going to be hard. It just depends where Albon and Max finish. If Max keeps getting podiums, that's going to help Red Bull. But if they're not getting points, like if they have some issues, because it could happen, if they have issues, Racing Point will push because Perez has been on recently. He's been doing really well, and Stroll might bring the momentum from here to get points at Bahrain, because the Racing Point, they have straights. They have good straight speed compared to other teams, which will really help them at Bahrain.
And then Renault, the factory Renault team, they sit 5th with 136 World Constructors Championship points. Now Ferrari is 6 points back, 130 points.
It's going to be close between them and Renault because, like, I know we're going to a track which is not in Ferrari's favor with the straights and all, like, fast corners. The thing about them is Leclerc is going to be there getting points, but, like, I've seen Leclerc get points. Like, sometimes I've seen Leclerc getting the points, but the thing about, can Vettel also get the points when Leclerc gets points? Because that's what Ferrari needs.
And that has been the struggle for Sebastian Vettel this year. AlphaTauri Honda, 89 points. Right now, the opportunity to get 6 of the World Constructors Championship is unfortunately fading away.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo and Haas Ferrari, they're most likely going to battle for 8th place honors in the World Constructors Championship as they combine for 11 points total. 8 points for Alfa Romeo, 8th in the World Constructors Championship, and 3 points for Haas Ferrari that were scored just in 2 races total this year. 9th and Williams Mercedes, how close they've been to getting a Constructors Championship point, awfully close, but they have no points at all.
Yeah, like the thing I've just noticed that for some teams, like, I know Haas Ferrari, like, for their drivers, Hamilton. Why do I keep bringing up Lewis Hamilton? He does not drive for Haas. That will never happen. Magnussen only has 1 point. Grosjean has 2. Which is, usually they say Magnussen has more points. I keep saying, no, Magnussen only has 1 point, while Grosjean has 2. But it's kind of funny. Alfa Romeo, each driver has 4. People say Giovinazzi's bad. I'm like, him and Raikkonen each have 4 points. They each have the same amount of points. So you're saying Giovinazzi's bad for having the same amount of points as Raikkonen? And people said that Schumacher should have got the ride. I'm like, there's still Haas. Haas still needs drivers. So we'll see what happens.
In the end, we're still up for a very chaotic off season.
Yeah.
When the World Championship finishes on the 13th of December in Abu Dhabi. So one more off week in the Formula One World Championship this upcoming weekend, and then they stay at Bahrain for the Bahrain Grand Prix, your usual Bahrain Grand Prix, and then the Secure Grand Prix, a new design of, or not a new design, a different design of the Bahrain International Circuit will be used for that event the first time to make up another lost date. And then the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix will complete the season on the 13th of December, like normally, and which is a good sign, because maybe we should end in normal terms, like the year has not.
Yeah.
The 2020 year as a whole has done everything but stay normal.
Yeah, but the only series that's not going to finish normal is F2. They're going to finish both races at Bahrain for them, but F2 for them, like the thing about Formula 2 is that people say, oh, if you win the F2 title, you're automatically in F1. I'm like, one, there's Davide Varsecchi. He won the title. He never went to F1. Same thing with Nick DeVries. Remember,
Nick DeVries is doing really good in sports cars.
Yeah, and he's running Formula E for Mercedes next year again with Van Dorn. But like, I'm just saying, even if you win the title, you're not guaranteed into F1 because you need the super license points, which you need 40.
And you need available seats.
And also, it's kind of funny who people say, why is Sean Galeo still in F2? He only has 6. And he needs to get in the top 4 to be secure. And I guess 2 of his points are expiring after this season. So he might still be in F2 next year, which, yeah.
Speaking of the super license, I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of it, especially seeing that certain drivers have been causing certain situations many times that, you know, if the super license were really in effect, then there'd be race bans. But
like, well, we only had one, and well, they had to do the rule for the ban in F2. Mahavir Raghunathan. Yep. And we know he's not going to get super license points with how he performed last year.
I'm not one to bash drivers, but drivers make crashes entertaining. And I don't condone fans who watch racing for crashes.
I still remember when he got the fastest lap at Abu Dhabi. And then he crashed out right after that in the feature race, which was kind of embarrassing.
Okay. Well, let's get serious about the super license situation. I mean, or just the driver development program. Whether you make it in Formula 1 or not, there are other outlets like Formula E, endurance racing, and as we know here in America, IndyCar.
Yeah,
IndyCar is a big source for Formula 1 drivers to keep their open wheel racing careers alive, and that, if you noticed, it resulted in championships. I mean, Nigel Mansell is probably the best example of that, going from a world championship into a kart championship.
Yeah.
In 1993.
Yeah, I remember that.
Takuma Sato, 2-time Indy 500 winner.
Yeah, and and Rossi, who ran a little bit of F1, he went to Andretti, which...
the rest is history, I think.
Yeah, he's just doing really good. 2020 was a little bit slump for, this year for him, but, usually Rossi's just running good in IndyCar up front and all that.
With that said... we will discuss the action of sports car racing that took place this weekend, but before that, we will discuss the MotoGP.
Because I was about to say
the MotoGP penultimate race, the Valencia Community Grand Prix, which was the second of 2 races held in Valencia circuit, the Tomo. How do I word it? Trying to find the name. Circuit Ricardo Tomo.
Yeah, I know.
Circuit Valencia for the second week in a row. The penultimate race of the year, and Joan Mir is champion. We'll discuss that in a minute. A wild final lap of the race. We saw the 2 bikes trading positions in the closing stages of the race. That, of course, being Yamaha's Franco Morbidelli, who started on pole and picked up his third MotoGP victory of his career. And Jack Miller, the Aussie, just one win of his career. But you can see how close Miller has been this season. Almost snagged it from Franco, but the Ducati rider finished just short of first place. In third, Paul Espargaro for KTM. Alex Rins fourth. Brad Binder fifth for KTM. Miguel Oliveira sixth place, and seventh place, the man of the year, Joan Mir. Joan Mir from Palma de Mallorca, Spain, at the age of 23 for Team Suzuki X-Star, who picked up his first win after 7 podiums and going 0 for 28 last week at the same circuit. Finished 7th and officially clinched the 2020 MotoGP World Championship. As for Team Suzuki X-Star, or Suzuki as a whole, it has been 20 years since they last won a championship with a Riders Championship. And I can tell you, if you're a MotoGP fan or new to watching MotoGP like myself, the future is bright, very bright. And Joan Mir pulled an upset, a major upset, by winning the championship, and Fabio Quartararo looked to have the title in hand at the start of the season, especially after the Marc Marquez injury. But Quartararo had struggles in 2020. Late in the season, failing to get points for the Aragon Grand Prix, that when he had the pole, it just panning out, and he finished top 15 to get points.
Yeah, and at first I thought instead of saying Marc Marquez, I thought you were going to say Mark Martin. I'm like, what? I thought you were going to say Mark Martin. That would have been weird.
Mark Martin and coming shy to a championship do go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, Mark Martin's. Yeah.
But in MotoGP,
yeah,
how Joan Mir pulled this off, it's just impressive. Very impressive. And he mentioned last week, Chase Elliott and Joan Mir have a lot in common.
Yeah.
They've done everything but win a race. And when Elliott finally won that race in 2018, it took him only 2 years to win a NASCAR Cup Series championship. But in Joan Mir's case, in only his second full-time season in MotoGP, not only won his first race last week, but locked the championship in Valencia, the Valencian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So the rider standings, obviously, it is Joan Mir, 171 points. He takes the championship. Franco Morbidelli still in a fight for second with Alex Rins, who's third. Alex Rins, third place, 138 points. Morbidelli has 142, so they are in range. Fourth place, Maverick Vinales, 1 point ahead of Fabio Quartararo, who's been dropping those last few in these most recent events. Quartararo's injury has unfortunately plagued his hopes for a championship. which is just the nature of MotoGP. Now, Quartararo is also tied with Andrea Dovizioso in the standings, 125 points, 122 points. In seventh is Paul Espargaro. Eighth place, Jack Miller, 112 points. So there's a lot of positions at stake here. There are more positions at stake than people are talking about. Yeah. With one race remaining, it's at the Portimao circuit for the Portuguese Grand Prix. That is this upcoming weekend to close the 2020 MotoGP World Championship. Now, I forgot to mention the Constructors Championship. The Constructors is a tie for first between Suzuki and Ducati, 201 points. Now, Yamaha's penalty set them back, but 188 points has put them to third. Now, Yamaha would have had 238 points and possibly a shot at the Constructors Championship, but that, after failing MSMA technical changes protocols, the constructor and their teams alike suffered point penalties. Fourth place, KTM, 175 points. Honda, 133 points this year. No wins. One more chance to get a win in 2020 this weekend. And Aprilia, with the weaker team, a more weaker constructor, this season they have 43 points so far, just trying to snag as much points as they can. Now the team's championship is Team Suzuki X-Star. 309 points for Suzuki X-Star. Second place, Petronas Yamaha SRT, 230 points. Now, with that penalty, they would have had 267 points, so they have been deducted 37 points. Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, 209 points in third. Ducati team, fourth, 203 points. And the other Yamaha team, Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP, 169 points. They would have had 189 points, but then they were penalized like their sister program, the Petronas Yamaha team. So they definitely paid a big price. Big price by failing to respect regulations. All right. Time for sports car racing. Let's get started with the FIA World Endurance Championship, 8 Hours of Bahrain, that took place on Saturday. Toyota, an easy win.
Number 7. Yeah, this time it was the number 7. They just walked away from the pole. They walked away.
Yes, the 8th and final race of a long season. This was not just the 2020 championship. This was the 2019 and 2020 FIA World Endurance Championship. They started at Silverstone in fall 2019.
Yeah, September. Yeah, that weekend. But it took a while just because of their last race before the pandemic was February, which that was supposed to be at Sao Paulo, but they brought it to the Lone Star Le Mans. They called it at Coda. And then you had the long break all the way until Spa, which was a long break for
no one expected.
Yeah, we didn't expect this. Like in February, we're gonna
see you in Sebring.
Yeah, we'll be in Sebring for the 1,000 miles of Sebring, and then the week before.
And then the world changed. All right, so Kamui Kobayashi, Mike Conway, Jose Maria Lopez, the drivers of the number 7 Toyota Gazoo Racing, they win the 8 Hours of Bahrain and the Driving Championship for the endurance Porsche, or for the endurance championship in 2019-2020. Well done for Toyota. Obviously, the only LMP team in the race. The number 8 finished second.
Yeah.
LMP2 only saw 6 cars. This race was a very short turnout, or had a very short turnout because of the 12 hours of Sebring clashing on the same day. Very rare.
Yeah.
That these things happen in sports car racing. So LMP2, it was number 37. Whether Jackie Chan, DC Racing, Oreca 07, driven by Ho Pin Tong, Gabriel Albry, and Will Stevens, finishing ahead of the number 38 Joda Sport, Oreca 07. Number 29 Racing Team Netherlands, the All Dutch team, finished third in their Oreca. There were only 6 cars in the class. Fourth place, number 22 United Autosport. They unfortunately do not finish a winning streak that dated back to the dawn of the calendar year 2020.
Yeah. There was a great battle at one point between the 37 and 38, the Joda Sport and the Jackie Chan team. That was a good battle for a while. Yeah, 37-38 had a good battle for a while, which was an aggressive battle for that lead.
Oh yeah, in the final 10 minutes, they were banging. Banging wheels.
It was close.
Finishing fourth, I mentioned United Autosports. They already clinched the championship. They clinched the championship in Le Mans, round 7, 24 hours of Le Mans, while winning the race itself in LMP2 class. Dominic Bullock. Hey guys, how's it going? Hello. You seeing the live chat there, being lively with literally one person. Great. Fifth place, the Alpine Signatech Alpine 8470, self-made LMP2 car that the French team put together, and sixth place of the Sattler Racing Dallara P217, which they actually announced. Dallara announced their entry for the 2021 Daytona 24 Hours in January. LMGTE Pro, a Porsche sweep.
Oh yeah, I saw.
92 Porsche GT team over the 91 Porsche GT team. The 92 car driven by Kevin Estra, Michael Christensen, beat their sister car in the final race of the season.
Yep.
Over AF Corsa Ferrari number 71. The 97 Aston Martin Racing finished fourth. The 95 Aston Martin finished fifth, and the number 51 AF Corsa Ferrari finished in sixth. So the 95 Aston Martin Racing drivers, Nicky Tim, Marco Sorensen, they clinched the FIA World Endurance GT Driving Championship.
Yeah.
For 2019-2020. LMGTE AM was won by Team Project 1, number 56 Team Project 1 Porsche, driven by Egidio Perfetti, Larry Ten Voort, and York Bergmeister. So a very decent group of Porsche drivers. 2 veterans and Larry Ten Voort, who is 24 years old, very experienced from the Porsche Super Cup, winning a Porsche Super Cup championship in 2020. Was part of that winning crew for the GTAM class. So the final standings after 14 months, literally 14 months of a season.
Yep.
Toyota won the LMP1 Manufacturers Championship, 241 points, almost 100 points ahead of. Actually, no, that was less than 100 points.
That's 90.
Yeah.
Not. I have the number here.
94.
No, 96.
96 points.
Yeah, because over the number 1 Rebellion. They only had the one car they ran. That's where all the points came from.
Right,
And then the last place, and that was the Team LNT number 5 and 6 that ran, I think, 4 races. They only had 29 points, 212 behind the Toyota number 7 and 8. Yep.
So 29 points for Team LNT. In the final season where the LMP1 era would be what determines the overall winner of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The final season of that World Championship is over. LMP2. Congratulations, Filipe Albuquerque, Phillip, Hanson, Paul de Resta. The 22 United Autosport Oreca 07 made it look easy this year, just like they did in the ELMS.
Yeah.
They picked up 190 championship points.
Yeah. There were 38 points ahead of the number 38 Joda with 152 points. Third, the 37 Jackie Chan DC Racing entry, 54 points behind in third. Then the Singatec the Racing Team Netherlands number 29 was 60 points behind in fourth. Then the 36 Singatec Alpine Elf entry, 81 back in fifth. Cool Racing 6 with only 103 points minus 87. Sittler Racing's number 47, 72 points minus 118. And last in the class in like the LMP2 teams is the number 33 High Class Racing with 47 points minus 143. Yeah, only 8 teams had entries and for points, and yeah, last 33.
Well, just to think about everything that happened in sports car racing, I think I'm trying to put the words together here. How to put the words together? They were affected greatly by the pandemic. Travel is huge with endurance racing. And I forgot to mention, we have 2 more classes I mentioned. It was LMGTE Pro, that was Aston Martin Racing. The 132 points, they clinched their championship at Le Mans. Porsche GT 299 points, and actually 289 points, and 250 points was Ferrari. They completed all the races this year. GTE Racing is a little worrisome in the future because, seeing Porsche pull out of IMSA and Corvette not being able to make it to Le Mans this year is just eerie sights.
Yeah.
GTM seems a little better, but unfortunately, it looks like only 2.5 manufacturers compete there, which, of course, that would be Porsche and Ferrari. They dominate the privateer GTE motorsport category.
Yeah, because in like the GTM class, there's only that, but there's 2 Aston Martin entries, the 90 and 98.
Yeah, so, and of course, the Ferrari won the GTE Drivers Championship. Manuel Collard, Nicholas Nielsen, Francois Parado for AF Corsa Ferrari. That was car number 83, winning at 167 points. At TF Sport Aston Martin finished second, 154 points, and that sloppy finale they had took them away from a championship. Team Project 1, Porsche number 56, they ran all the races this year, 118 points. Dempsey Proton Racing finished fourth of the 107.5 points, despite 2 near wins this year, including the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the returning 6 hours of Spa. Team Project 1 Porsche finished fifth with 101.5 points after they won the first Bahrain 6 hours. That we had 2 Bahrain 6 hour or 2 Bahrain 8 hours this year.
This is actually interesting. I was just looking through. I noticed that the Dempsey Proton number 88, they finished 9th out of 11 teams in the Gtlm Teams Championship. But it's kind of funny. They actually got a podium in their class at Bahrain. Which is usually because the previous best finish for the 88 Dempsey entry was 5th place at Spa. They actually finished on the podium, which is good for that team. Yeah.
All right. Next year in the WEC, the World Endurance Championship should be back to normal. We're going to have 6 races that are scheduled, confirmed by the FIA, starting with the 1,000 miles of Sebring, a concept event that takes place on March 19th, the 19th of March. Now, I'll mention Sebring in a little. The 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps on the 1st of May. Of course, the 24 hours of Le Mans, the 2021 24 hours of Le Mans, June 12th, 13th. The 18th of July, 6 hours of Monza. The 26th of September, 6 hours of Fuji in Japan.
6 hours.
6 hours of Bahrain on the 20th.
And I just realized, with Le Mans being on the 12th to 13th, that weekend is the same week as the Texas All-Star race. That's that weekend also. I just realized. Yeah, which will have Xfinity trucks, and yeah, that's on the same weekend as the 24 hours of Le Mans.
I wonder if anybody might. That could be from the Cup side of things. Since the All-Star race doesn't count towards your championship.
Yeah, but
use that as a way to get over into a car in the 24 hours of Le Mans. I'm looking at you, Chase Elliott.
We know one person that's not going to do that. Austin Cindric. He has to. He wants to. But he wants to win. Try to win
that championship.
Yeah.
That's on the drivers, but I'm very excited for next year. If next year can go smoothly, that is, and of course this year did not. He did everything but go smoothly. The 1,000 miles of Sebring. So that is where I want to discuss the 1,000 miles of Sebring, a race designed by the FIA World Endurance Championship, which is fans like myself question why not do the 12-hour race. The 12 hours of Sebring would make more sense if we have the 12 hours of Sebring. If you think about it, the first ever race of what is now known as the WEC was actually the 2012 12 hours of Sebring. There was about 9 classes and 64 cars overall. It was a fun race, but if you're a race fan, you get to watch 2 races. But if you're I'd say the drivers and teams, a 1,000 mile race at Sebring, how long did that take? It took about the 1,000 miles of Sebring took 8 hours to complete.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not too far from 12 hours.
For me, it's just I didn't know about it until I researched about the first WEC race, because I only watched WEC the beginning of the 2017 season. The only thing I remember about the race was Toyota winning, and I sounded so excited when they won, because that was my first time.
It was a precursor to how they would be the only factory program, because then Porsche pulled out. But I started watching Le Mans when I was able to, kind of a casual watcher, just learning of the logistics, sports car racing.
Yeah, it's like there's so many things. Like IMSA, I only started following in 2017. One reason it was because when I joined on Skype, I remember you said about WEC, so I was flipping to the channel because there was an F1 race at the same day. And yeah, that's how I discovered WEC.
But in the end, sports car racing is like a huge, it's like a wide variety. There are plenty of places where drivers come from to these levels. So Formula One drivers, NASCAR, IndyCar, all these different bases. Touring car race. Let's not forget. I think BTCC finished their season. That's just. I think it's a big all-star race, really, in the end. That's what it is. Best of the best. Mario Andretti win the 1970 12 Hours of Sebring. Ferrari made him drive their sister car in the last 20 minutes, and he put out the fastest laps of the entirety of the race in the dark.
The
worst of worst conditions. Andretti pulled off a stunning victory for the old Ferrari team, and it was in the World Sports Car Championship.
Sports cars has evolved like from before. Like now they're so high tech and all that compared to like the time that in the 1933 Le Mans 24, when I guess there was the Alfa Romeo that was leading had a fuel leak. So don't know how they clogged that fuel leak by putting a piece of chewing gum, and it somehow held on.
You find that from WTF1 on YouTube.
Yes, I don't know how, but it's kind of funny how back then, like, cars would do that a lot, but they would be, put that there and it's fine. Right. Now that's not going to work. You got to
probably something you back to pit road for like a BOP penalty. That's another thing. Balance of power or performance. I think it's Still trying to learn about BOP. I think it's still crazy how they put together. So let's get into the IMSA 2020 12 Hours of Sebring. A Sebring 12 hours like never before. I don't think in anyone's lifetime would a 12 hours of Sebring not only be ran in November, but be the race decider that finished the championships, these season-long championships. And honestly, I mean, I'm trying to find the words here. Justin, I have to tell you, the 12 Hours of Sebring this year was probably the most eventful sports car race of the calendar year.
Yeah, it was. I know I missed most of it because I was at work, but I watched the bit that was I watched a bit on my computer because I don't have the Discovery Velocity channel for Canada because it's not a cheap channel. No. I watched the bit on NBC when they had but I worked, I was at work for most of it, which was I was just hearing that the IMSA race was so interesting, but at work nothing was going on at work that whole.
The waiting hours was unbelievable. There are no words to describe how fierce the drivers and teams were putting together a great finale on one of the toughest racetracks in the world.
I remember just watching the battles, after the WC race, I was switching back and forth from WC to IMSA to see, and it was really interesting, those battles.
All right. So as far as the race is concerned, because this was the 11th and final race of the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship from IMSA and the Michelin Endurance Cup, the 4th and final race for the Endurance Cup DPI class, won by Mazda Motorsports number 55. Mazda's first win at the 12 Hours of Sebring with drivers John Bomarito, Ryan Hunter-Ray, and Harry Tignell. 348 laps were complete to win that event, and only 3 cars finished on the lead lap. The number 6 Acura Team Penske, driven by Dan Cameron, Juan Pablo Montoya, Simon Pagino, finished second. 10 seconds behind the Mazda, the number 77 Mazda Motorsport completed the podium. They almost won the race. It was, I
remember.
Spun
Yep.
in the final 45 minutes or so.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, JDC Miller had problems. The number 85 car kept them a lap down. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a double podium for Mazda Motorsports. Lieve Pla, Oliver Jarvis, Tristan Nunez in that car. Fourth place was number 85 JDC Miller Motorsports Cadillac with Steven Simpson, Matthias Laced, and Scott Andrews behind the wheel of that car. Their sister car, number 5, the Mustang Sampling team that had the all-French lineup with Tristan Vautier, Loic Duval, Sebastien Bourdais. I expected them to do much better, but many teams ran into mechanical problems with the bumpy surface, a lot of flat tires. You've seen teams with punctures have to limp around that bumpy racetrack. And
I never expected the 5 to get banned by the 85. Usually I see the 85 like one of the last cars in that class, but the 85 beated the 5 in this race.
Right. But then 6th place, number 31, Wheeling Engineering Racing will not be a third win or a fourth win in the 12 hours of Sebring for driver Pipo Derani. Gabby Chavez, Philippe Nazar, they were 2 laps from the leader in classification. Number 7, Konica Minolta Cadillac. Congratulations, Michelin Endurance Cup champions. How about that?
But then they were a point behind in the regular standings.
That's where we're going to lead to that in a moment. Next, those drivers, of course, being Rainier van der Zandt, Scott Dixon, and Ryan Briscoe. And lastly, the champions of the season, Acura Team Penske number 7, Ricky Taylor, Elio Castroneves, and Alexander Rossi. Elio Castroneves has never won a season championship, believe it or not, in his entire career racing until Saturday night. That stat changed.
Yeah, because Ricky Taylor, he won it in 2017 when he drove for Wayne Taylor Racing, which,
I never knew that. No one knew. I mean, it's like bizarre that Castroneves that's like winning 3 Indy 500s and all the success he had. And by the way, that was his final race with Team Penske for the foreseeable future, which is another end of an era for Castroneves, which goes back to 2000 when someone, unfortunately, had to replace the fallen Greg Moore after the 1999 Kart FedEx Championship season. Greg Moore was supposed to be one of the greatest drivers from Canada.
Yeah,
he was going to drive for Penske in 2000 from the players' team that Forsyth Racing had. The driver lost his life at Fontana in 1999. Then the Penske team that was about to bring Greg Moore. They had to make a decision. They brought Brazilian Elio Castroneves.
Whoa.
And Castroneves, in his first try in the 2001 Indianapolis 500, won the race. He then won again. He went 2 for 2 in his first 2 tries, and then won for a third time. And he's going to continue attempting to join that 4 winners club, or the 4-time winner club, which of course is Al Unser, Rick Mears, AJ Foyt for the Indy 500 side of things. Castroneves never won a driver's championship. Never won a championship, a season-long title until Saturday. He finally did it.
Oh, jeez.
Just watching Core League, I bet.
No, this is confusing that I don't know if this is confirmed. Probably not because it's Wikipedia. I don't know why. Whoever on Wikipedia, I don't know where they found this info. According to this article, they're saying that Wayne Taylor Racing's 2021 lineup, they accordingly think it's going to be Filipe Albuquerque, Ricky Taylor, and Alexander Rossi.
someone
don't know.
confirmed. But it's not. No, Ali Castroneves is supposed to drive for them.
But it says that's what it says for Acura. It says Dixon will race Ganassi.
Sports car racing, there's a lot of things happening. I know Ganassi, they're coming back next year to contend for an overall win.
The only thing I know that's really confirmed, that's been confirmed today, was Dane Cameron going to Meyer Shanks number 60.
Right.
But yeah.
LMP2, let's discuss LMP2 class. There were 4 cars that showed up. And in the end, it was the champion. How fitting, the champion finishes first in the 12 Hours of Sebring. Scott Huppeker, Simon Schumer, Patrick Kelly, and the PR1 Matheson Motorsports Oreca 07, number 52. They win the Michelin Endurance Cup. They win the season championship. They win the 12 Hours of Sebring in class. The number 8 Tower Motorsport by Starworks Oreca 07 finished in second in the LMP2 class. That car being driven by David Heinemeier, Hanson, Mikkel Jensen, John Ferraro, 2 laps behind the winning LMP2 car. Third place was the number 38 Performance Tech Motorsport, Patrick Berndonjot, Guy Cosmo. And fourth in class, the LMP2 class, was the Polish team Inter-Europol competition. Jakub Smitkowski, despite crashing on the final corner, made a return to the race after lengthy garage repairs so they can be classified in final results, actually finishing 1 lap ahead of the GTD winners. That's very good stat. Naveen Rao, Matthew Bell were the co-drivers in that car. Gtlm ends on a high note for the Porsche GT team that was provided by Core Autosport. They finished first and second, but they did. The Porsche crew fell just shy of the Michelin Endurance Cup, which was won by BMW.
Yeah.
But they did manage to send off their North American program on a high note. The 911 Porsche, driven by their factory drivers Earl Bammer, Nick Tandy, Frederick Makovicky. Now, Tandy is reportedly going to drive for Corvette next year.
Yeah.
For those drivers, actually, it was with Lawrence Ventor. They won the 24 Hours of Spa. It was actually Bamber, Tandy, and Ventor, Lawrence Ventor, the winning team. Now, the 912 Porsche, which was Earl Bammer, Neil Yanni, and Lawrence Ventor, they finished second. So 1 and 2 finish, very fitting for a farewell event. The 24 car for BMW Team RLL, the Rahal Letterman Lanigan provided entry for BMW. They finished 3rd and 4th and winning the Michelin Endurance Cup. Number 24, John Edwards, Augusto Farfus, Jesse Krohn in the 25 car, Bruno Spengler, Colton Herta, and Carn D. Philippe. They managed to finish 4th. The only 2 cars in class on the lead lap were the Porsches. How fitting. Very, very impressive. And somewhat emotional because Porsche, they're a staple in IMSA.
Yeah.
They are sports car racing. You know, Porsche goes hand in hand with almost everything. Even though we'll see Porsche next year and other teams and aspects in IMSA, their factory team is like the definition of sports car racing. In these endurance events, it's unfortunate that they couldn't stay, but in sports car racing, there are plenty of other teams and drivers who have to face the same reality, especially in 2020 with the economic situation. If you can't travel, you can't race, and it's sad. But great farewell performance by Porsche. Porsche did a great job this whole weekend. Almost. They won all the big races except for the 6 hours of Paul Ricard, which we'll get to in a moment. The Porsche did a brilliant job. Corvette Racing, despite winning the season-long championship in GTLM, the number 3 car, Corvette Racing Chevrolet, driven by Jordan Taylor, Antonio Garcia, and Nicky Katzberg, who Katzberg is also a BMW factory driver, but it was the 3rd driver in that lineup for Sebring. They finished 5th in class over the number 4 Corvette, which was a which is really sad, really emotional farewell for Oliver Gavin. Ollie Gavin, 48 years old, from Huntington, England, has been with the Corvette factory team since 2002 when they won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in class 5 times, once 3 in a row from 2004 to 2006. And unfortunately, of course, they couldn't make it in Le Mans this year. And Ollie Gavin will retire from
full-time
IMSA racing. So it's the end of an era, and he was given honors to drive the car when they came back from the garage area in the final 20 minutes of the race.
Yeah.
Marcel Fasser and Tommy Milner were co-drivers of that car. So veterans everywhere. And lastly, the GT Daytona class, comprised of FIA GT3 cars. Wright Motorsports won the race with drivers Patrick Long, Ryan Hardwick, and Jan Halen. Completed 319 laps of the race to win in GTD. They finished 18th overall. Second place was the number 23 Heart of Racing Team Aston Martin with Darren Turner, Roman DeAngelis, and Ian James. Third place, the season-long champions, number 86, Meyershank Racing with Curb Agajani and Acura NSX GT3. Drivers Matthew McMurray, Mario Farnbacker, Shinya Majimi. Behind the wheel of that car, they won the championship after a really close battle with Wright Motorsports. Wright Motorsports was just a few points ahead. All it took was one mistake in those bumps for the 86 car to lose the championship. That, of course, did not happen. So while Wright Motorsports did win the 12 Hours of Sebring, they came just shy of the 2020 WeatherTech Sports Car Championship in class. So that's your podium for GTD. Now outside the podium was car number 63, Scuderia Corsa Ferrari. Cooper McNeil, Jeff Westphal, and Alessandro Balzan drove that car, the WeatherTech entry. Team Hardpoint. Now, Team Hardpoint drivers Pierre Caffer, Andrew Davis, Robert Ferriel in the Audi number 30. They will switch to Porsche next year with help from Earl Bamber Motorsport, that the New Zealand team, of course, Earl Bamber, the New Zealand driver himself, has I think it's his brother, Will Bamber. They've raced in the 12 Hours of Bathurst earlier this year. So we'll see more of them later, but with Porsche next time. Then behind them, number 57, Heinricher Racing with Meyershank Racing, Curb Agajanian, drivers Mikkel Goikberg, Joey Hand, and Trent Hinman. A lot of cars on the lead lap in this class. Actually, 6, 7 of them. Then last car on the lead lap. Congratulations, Michelin Endurance Cup champion. Actually, no, my bad. That was the 40. That's the 48 car. The 44 car. Well, Lamborghini drivers Eddie Lally, Spencer Popelli, John Potter, GRT Magnus Racing, and then it was. And then it was the 44 car. The 44 car, Paul Miller Racing. They won the Michelin Endurance Cup this year with flying colors. Despite this was actually the lowest race here, because they finished one lap down, ran into some trouble, but nonetheless, Michelin Endurance Cup champions. Paul Miller Racing, Lamborghini, Huracan drivers, Brian Sellers, Madison Snow, and Corey Lewis. Now, the Lexus team did have problems, which resulted in and then finishing ninth. The number 12 car, Ambassador Sullivan, Lexus, they were actually part of the season-long championship, which obviously didn't go their way. The number 11 car, GRT Grasser Racing Team, Lamborghini. Number 96, Turner Motorsport, BMW. Before the race started, it seemed like a veteran driver, Bill Oberlin, who is the winningest driver in IMSA history, had symptoms of COVID-19.
Yeah, because and not just that race, he was also supposed to drive the 95 in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge series, and he was not in that race either. So, yeah, he had to miss the race.
But luckily, the driver didn't have the virus and is currently resting in his home.
Yeah. They wanted to take the precautions. You have to want to make sure.
Have any problems with the system, or else
yeah,
they might shut everything down. So they brought Nick Yellowly, the British works driver for BMW. While his dad was celebrating a 60th birthday, Yellowly gets the call: pack your bags. You're flying over the pond ASAP. And if you want to keep a career alive, you answer yes and only yes to your team and end up being that third driver with the Dylan Matcheverden and Robbie Foley.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they had a brake failure, which resulted in them retiring from the race. Then the 14 Lexus, Ambassador Sullivan Lexus, the 12 and 14 had contact, and the 14 retired on the spot, and the 12 later on retired with worse damage. Just couldn't keep them going. It was a very, very terrible situation for a team that was mathematically in the championship hunt, which leads us into the final classification for the championship.
I just remember seeing the 14 and the 12 getting in the beers. I'm like, I was so confused of what happened.
It was actually one of the Corvette cars that was leaking.
The 4. It was the 4 car was leaking oil, and then they slid into it in the final corner into the barrier. It was not a good day for the Vasser Sullivan team.
All right, so the final standings, and we're going to start with the season-long championship, and then discuss the Michelin Endurance Cup. So the season-long championship was obviously Ricky Taylor, Elio Castroneves, number 7, Acura Team Penske. They were 1 point ahead of the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing Cadillac, and the other driver I forgot to mention was Ricky Taylor. Or not Ricky Taylor, Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, I was about to say Ricky Taylor's 2 drivers, because Ricky Taylor and Castroneves are the full-time drivers. Rossi runs the endurance races as a third driver.
Well, Wayne Taylor Racing Cadillac were just 1 point, 265 points for Acura Team Penske, and 1 point shy, number 10, Konica Minolta Cadillac for Wayne Taylor Racing, 264 points.
Oh, it was so close.
Austin Motorsports, number 55, 260 championship points. In third. Number 31, Wheeling Engineering Racing Cadillac, 258 points. So there were actually 4 drivers mathematically able to win the championship, the season-long championship in that last race in DPI. 5th place was the number 5 Mustang Sampling JDC Miller Motorsports Cadillac.
Whoa, where did the 6 finish?
They are classified in 7th.
So they finished behind the 77.
Yeah, it shows you how much one race can do you.
I didn't even know that the 6 was... I thought the 6 was more higher than running 7th. And then last was obviously the 85.
That's motorsport.
Yeah, like I never expected the 6 to be. I know the 6 last year.
77 and then 6 and then the 85.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that 6 team did not do good compared. They had good runs, but bad luck happened during the races, like at the 6 hours of Road Atlanta. That, yeah.
All right. In the LMP2 Championship, that was won with the number 52 car, the Pure One Matheson Motorsport Oreca 07, with driver Patrick Kelly, Simon Trumer, Scott Huffaker, Spencer Piggott, Ben Keating, Nicholas Buell, and Gabriel Aubry. They all drove once or twice in that car, number 52 car. All the cars were Oreca 07s this year. There's that. The rest of the LMP2 class standings, so 30 points, actually no, 40 points behind was number 38 Performance Tech Motorsport Oreca. Third place was the number 8 Tower Motorsport by Starworks. Number 18 Aero Motorsport fourth with 92 points. Fifth place, number 81 Dragon Speed USA, 61 points. And sixth place, number 51 Europol Competition, 58 championship points at the end of the IMSA Championship.
Yep.
GTLM goes to Corvette drivers, the number 3 car. They actually clinched it the last race at Laguna Seca. It was Antonio Garcia, Jordan Taylor, and their endurance driver Nick Katzberg.
They did it for Dale. Yeah, the number 3.
Yes, 351 championship points. BMW Team RLL number 24 finished second in the season-long championship, 319 points. Number 4 Corvette Racing, 315 points. Number 25 BMW Team RLL, car 25. 2 points behind the number 4 Corvette Racing, so first and third for Corvette, second and fourth for BMWs, and then the Porsche factory team, they got affected after Le Mans when their team had a breakout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, the 911 Porsche 297 points and the 912 Porsche 289 points. That didn't affect them at all in the Michelin Endurance Cup, of course.
Yeah.
But your usual sprint race it was Mid-Ohio. They couldn't attend that event. And the number 7 spot was the number 62 Racing Competition Ferrari that only entered the 24 Hours of Daytona this year, finishing, of course, with 25 championship points. As far as the GT Daytona class is concerned, the GT3 class won by the number 86 Meyershank Racing with Kurt Bagajanian, Honda Acura NSX GT3. That car was driven by Matt McMurray and Mario Farnbacher. Jules Gunyan and Shinya Machimi were part of their endurance lineup. Gunyan only showed up at Daytona this year, but they ended up winning a close fight in the championship over number 16 Wright Motorsports Porsche. 2 points to be exact. It was really close. Unfortunately, for Wright Motorsports, they couldn't celebrate twice after winning Sebring, 284 points. Third place, number 14, Ambassador Sullivan car. Ambassador Sullivan Lexus, number 14, third with 265 points. The number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW fourth with 256 points, and fifth, the number 12 Ambassador Sullivan Lexus, 251 points. The 14 car was mathematically in the hunt for the season-long championship, Justin. But then it all came to a crashing halt, literally.
Yeah. I was just looking on my phone, and I guess Ryan Vargas won the Core Duel number 1, which he'll be on pole for their Core League race tomorrow, which is the big. Oh, I didn't.
Let's let's continue on with the Manufacturers Cup.
Manufacturers Cup?
Yes, the manufacturers standings.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I'm like, there's a new cup called the Manufacturers.
No, it's there. It's there.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like the Manufacturers Cup, like there's a champion, like a manufacturer.
No, it's just for manufacturers. The manufacturers trophy.
Okay.
And,
yeah, that makes sense.
The season-long championship will start off with the DPI class. The DPI class manufacturers trophy went to Acura, 294 points. It came down to 1 point. 293 points for Cadillac, 286 points for Mazda, for the 3 active manufacturers. So congratulations to Acura and, of course, Honda for putting that together. In LMP2, it was only the Oreca 07 across all teams that ran this year. Might look a little different next year, but it was just the Oreca 07. The Gtlm Manufacturers Championship went to Chevrolet Corvette, of course, the C8R, 366 points. That is 16 points ahead of the number, or over the BMW manufacturer, 350 points. Porsche, 321 points, and Ferrari, just 28 points. And the GTD championship had the most manufacturers with 10. Acura wins that class for the manufacturers championship. So congratulations to Acura and Honda, 299 points over Porsche, 291 points. Second, third place, Lexus, 290 points. So the manufacturers hunt was very important at Sebring, as well as the Michelin Endurance Cup and the season-long championship. BMW, 273 points. Lamborghini, 270 points. Mercedes-AMG, 260 points. Ferrari at 220 points. Aston Martin, 215 points. Audi, 214 points. And McLaren, which didn't show up in the last race at Sebring, 138 points. So there you have it. Now, the Michelin Endurance Cup. So I found the Michelin Endurance Cup. Acura Team Penske. Wait, why do they say Michelin Endurance Cup? They have it.
What?
Sebring points provisional. How come that has changed?
I don't know.
Oh, they probably didn't add the Sebring points. Yeah, my bad. There we go. Yeah, it went to Wayne Taylor Racing with Ranger van der Zand, the number 10 car, Wayne Taylor Racing Cadillac. They won the Michelin Endurance Cup, 42 points. They passed the Acura Team Penske test with flying colors. The number 6 car did finish second in the Endurance Cup, 36 points for the Team Penske number 6 car. Whelen Engineering Racing for Action Express, 35 points. Mazda Motorsports, number 77, 34 points. And 5th place was the Mustang Sampling JDC Miller Motorsports Cadillac, 33 Michelin Endurance Cup championship points.
Yeah.
So the Michelin Endurance Cup, if you're unfamiliar, consists of the 24 hours of Daytona, the 6 hours of Road Atlanta, the Petit Le Mans 10-hour race of Road Atlanta, and the season closing race, the 12 hours of Sebring.
Yeah.
Florida. You want to know where the 55 car finished in the Endurance Cup? 7th out of 8 cars, despite winning the 12 hours of Sebring.
Wow. Yeah, they were not the best during those endurance races compared to other drivers like the 10. Like the 10 was good on those races, same as the 31. Like compared to the 55, that 55 was not the best on the endurance races. I've seen them doing better at the sprint races than the endurance races.
Yes, I forgot to mention they do award points at certain times of the hours in those endurance races. So, for example, Daytona, you get points after 6 hours. You get points after hour 12. You get points after hour 18. You get, of course, points for the finish and your finishing position. And then that same procedure just for 4 hours at the Road Atlanta races 4, 8, or just 4 and 6 for the first Atlanta race, and 4, 8, 10 for the second one. Sebring, you get hours 4, 8, and the finish hour 12. You get points for the Endurance Cup there. So with the manufacturer standings in the Michelin Endurance Cup and DPI, that went to number 10, or number 10, the manufacturer, Cadillac. DPI, 54 points. Then the fight for second was close, but Acura picked that up, 46 points. Third place, Mazda, 44 points. LMP2, it did go to the number 52, PR1 Matheson Motorsports. They won everything. They won the Michelin Endurance Cup, the season-long championship, and the 12 Hours of Sebring. Of course, the driver lineup that had Patrick Kelly, Simon Schumer, Scott Hoffaker, Spencer Piggott, Gabriel Aubry, Ben Keating, and Nicholas Buell. 55 points in the Endurance Cup. Number 8, Tower Motorsport by Starworks, 33 points. The number 38 car, Performance Tech Motorsport, 27 points. Number 18, Era Motorsport, 19 points. The 81, Dragon Speed USA, 17 points. And 15 points, Inter Europol competition, number 51. As for the Michelin Endurance Cup in the GTLM class, BMW Team RLL number 24 won it after a close call, nearly losing it to the Porsche, the number 911 Porsche, after they won the sweeping 12 hours. It was a 5-point difference. 5 points between the number 24 and the 911 Porsche. The 912 Porsche, 37 points. Number 3 Corvette, 32 points. The BMW number 25, 30 points. Number 4 Corvette had the worst record of the full-time Endurance Cup drivers or teams, 26 points. In the number 62 Risi competition, only ran Daytona, so they get 8 points. Manufacturer standings, BMW wins that by 3 points over Porsche. 53 points, 50 points for Porsche. 41 points for Chevrolet, 8 points for Ferrari. Justin, are you playing with a wrapper, or is that a water bottle?
I was just moving my water bottle out the way to not make a mess on the floor.
Ferrari only ran the Daytona 24 hours, so they get 8 points.
Yeah.
The GT Daytona class, Michelin Endurance Cup won by Brian Sellers, Corey Lewis for number 40, 8 Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini over the number 63 Scuderia Corsa Ferrari. 9-point gap at the end. 44 points for car 48, 35 points for car 63. Number 86 Marshall Racing with Kerbaka Johnny and Honda, same thing, Acura NSX GT3, 33 points. The season-long champions finished third in the Endurance Cup. Number 44 GRT Magnus Lamborghini, fourth, and the number 14 Ambassador Sullivan Lexus, fifth with 29 points. As for the manufacturer standings in the Michelin Endurance Cup, Lamborghini won that with flying colors, 47 points over the Ferrari GT3, 35 points. 1 point behind was Acura, 3 points behind Lexus, and 4 points behind in fifth was Porsche. 6th place Mercedes AMG, 7th place Aston Martin, 8th Audi, and 9th BMW. So that means McLaren didn't race in the Endurance Cup.
Yeah.
All right. How was that for an IMSA season?
It was a good season. Like, there was competitive races. The Rolex 24 finished. By finished, I mean, like, better than 2019, where there was so much rain. But the Rolex 24 was good. Then the return race at Daytona, which I sadly missed that race. Even if I had the free preview for Velocity, I was at my friend's house for his graduation party, so I missed that. But I remember tuning on into the other races. They were really interesting.
They were rampant, close, tight. quick, fast, and we didn't get the usual load of entries that your typical sports car races could get. A lot of teams suffered financially. And it's hard. It's really hard to blame anybody with the current season that happened. I mean, you take a look at the teams that chose to run the races, some teams that didn't, and good thing for that Michelin Endurance Cup, because otherwise the racing would have had no chance to win the season-long championship. They accomplished the Endurance Cup perfectly.
Yeah, like there's some teams that couldn't run every race, all because of all this the pandemic.
Exactly.
And also people travel restraints. That was also another issue for some drivers.
Some countries will make you sit at home in quarantine for 14 days. Other countries will make you test 2 times and 3 times, and
and there's people that are still not doing precautions that still exist in this world. People not being.
When you're on day 13 of quarantine, there's always that one person who, or you go get in the mail, and then all of a sudden the dog chases you. Now you have to run for help, and there's the person with the virus right there. You end up getting treated for getting injured by a dog, and they ask you to test you, and then it's back to square one.
And also, like, people throwing parties. There's still people doing that. That's more.
There was a party. It happened at Sebring.
Yeah, but there's I've been seeing photos of people at parties with no mask. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's totally smart. And they are running away from the cops, and they get. Just respect the guidelines. That's what we're trying to say. Just respect.
Or maybe don't change them too much. But this is a motorsports show, so let's continue on. We have 2 other races that were part of this mega sports car weekend.
Yeah.
The 24H Series final race of the season at Mugello. It was the 12 Hours of Mugello, the 6th and final race of the 2020 24H Series Championship, which started back at most likely one of the most eerie races of 2020. It was probably the very first race that happened in the year as a whole. None other than 7-hour long, 24-hour in a
Oh yeah, I remember that. Nobody expected rain there. We expected, it's going to be sunny because Dubai usually doesn't get rain like that.
And 2020 said, hold my Corona beer.
Well, that could happen at Abu Dhabi this year for F1, but Bahrain, maybe there's
2 different circuits, but like Dubai Autodrome and the Yas Marine circuit. But what I'm trying to say is that it happened, and okay, great, we'll be back for the next race, which didn't happen.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'm just looking at the timing 71. I'll pull this up here. In the end, it was Herberth Motorsport won the 12 Hours of Mugello. It was a 2-part race, which means the first part was about 5 hours long, and the 7 hours long in the second part. So you had 1 race on Friday, pack up, sleep, go to the next race, and everyone completes the race on a high note. Everyone awake and not sleep deprived. It's a unique concept. Am I a fan of it? I wish I could say yes to that. I don't know if I can, but it's a cool concept.
Yeah.
Especially for drivers in development programs that are out there to get track time.
Yeah.
So number 91, Herberth Motorsport Porsche won overall and in the GT3 class, which that car was driven by Robert Renauer, Daniel Alleman, Ralph Bond. The 92 car was in a lock for second, but they suffered a mechanical failure.
Oh, geez.
Last hour,
Oh.
So second place in class and in overall. How about this number 85 CP Racing Mercedes AMG GT3? That car driven by Rolex Sports Car Grand Am veterans. In the likes of Shane Lewis, Charles Espelon, Charles Pullman. They're all in their 50s.
Wow.
I'm not mistaken. All of them racing. And they led for like the first 2-3 hours overall, the 85 car. Third place was the number 58 car, MP Racing, driven by the Gosner family team, Thomas Gosner, Thomas, Corina, David, and Manuela Gosner. The Italian family drove that 58 car Mercedes. They were your pick, Justin, but I think I think I went for the veterans, but then 58 ran into trouble, but managed to get third overall, so they complete a podium in class and in the overall category. To finish the class standings, number 92 Herberth Motorsport Porsche, they failed to finish the race in the final hour. In fact, the only car not to finish the race, believe it or not. Lap 301. Fifth place. Number 720 RD Signs Racing Team Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo Super Trofeo car. Yes, the car that, the Super Trofeo that holds their own championship.
Yeah.
TCR class had the most cars in them. The FIA TCR regulations, touring cars. First place, finished fourth overall, the number 112 Auto Drama Motorsport by Wolf Power Racing Volkswagen Golf GTI TCR. Number 112, driven by Nicholas Bourne, Yannick Mettler, Alberto Vescavi, and Roberto Ferri. They finished ahead of the number 175 NKPP Racing by Bascoten Racing, the Dutch team in the Cupra TCR DSG. They finished second in class, the TCR class. Third place, number 1 Autodrama Motorsport by Wolf Power Racing Volkswagen. So a double podium for them, first and third. The number 1 car almost got second, but they got plagued. Because, motorsport happens. At least they finished one lap down in class, so they couldn't get fourth place. 188 ACE Motorsports Audi finished third. The 131 Top Car Cupra, Top Car Sport. And sixth place, number 101 Red Camel Jordan Cupra, the Dutch team, 6 in class for the TCR. TCX class, only 2 cars made up that category. Winning the TCX class and finishing 9th overall was the number 226 Nordschleife Racing Ligier JS2R. That is a custom-built Ligier car. You should look it up. It looks very interesting. It's a decent concept. That car was driven by an all-French lineup by Daniel Waschinski, Gtlm, Roman, and Mathieu Sanis. And the other car that finished in the TCX class second place was number 703 JR Motorsport car, BMW M3 E92, not Junior Motorsports, but JR Motorsport. And GT4 class had 3 cars compete in the race that saw the winning car finish 10th overall, the number 451 Team Via Sorg Rennsport BMW M4 GT4. Won the GT4 class after finishing 10th overall. That car The 451 was driven by Jorg Simon, Jose Manuel de los Milagros Vinigla, Sergio Pele Diaz, and Filipe Valenza. 3 Spaniards in the German driver make up that 451 car. I forgot to mention it's a BMW, the BMW M4 GT4. Second place, number 401 Pro Sport Racing Aston Martin Vantage GT4. And third place, number 473 EBI Motors Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. And the only car that ran the 991 class finished 12th overall, Speed Lover 978, Speed Lover Porsche 991 Cup car that was driven by the Belgian team, Verdon's Jorgen van Hover and Eric Muez. So it wasn't the most eventful race, I'd say, for the 24H series, but it happened, and next year is a very interesting one. I think we have about 80 cars on the entry list for the 24 Hours of Dubai, if I'm not mistaken. The 24 Hours of Dubai entry list is already out, and it's supposed to be a major showcase, one we saw cut short this year. But hey, 2021 is just, I think, 5-6 more weeks, and 2020 is over. And lastly, for sports car racing, one more class. That was the GT World Challenge Europe Paul Ricard 1000, which was a 6-hour race, the 8th and final race of the season, and the 4th and final race of the endurance portion of the GT World Challenge. For the Circuit Paul Ricard 1000 kilometer in Le Castel, France, that track has seen a lot of makeup races in endurance this year.
Yeah.
Especially in the European Le Mans series. So we'll start off with the winning car in the Pro class, the regular GT3 class. Number 51, AF Corsa Ferrari. They beat the number 12 GPX Racing Porsche in the waiting laps of the race. That number 51 car was driven by Alessandro Pierre Guidi, Tom Blomqvist, and Kamui Ledoux in the Ferrari. Now finishing second in the 12 GPX Racing Porsche. They dominated this race. The Porsche factory drivers of Matt Campbell, Patrick Pilet, Matthew Jaminet. All it took was one mistake. One slight mistake, and it was over. Porsche almost had a perfect weekend, if you think about it. They won Mugello. They won in their factory program at Bahrain and Sebring. And they almost won Paul Ricard. Third place, number 63 Orange 1 FFF Racing Team Lamborghini, finished third overall. Fourth place, the 32 Belgian Audi Club Team WRT, as well as their teammate number 31. So 32 and 31 Audis, fourth and fifth. The Silver Cup class was won by the number 78 car, Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini, driven by Patrick Kujala, Frederick Svandorf, and Alex McDowell. Second place in the class was the 15 I think it's a 15. Tech One Racing. Tech One Racing has number 15 finished second. Lexus number 15, Tech One Racing, and then the number 5 HRT, the Haupt Racing team owned by Hubert Haupt, Mercedes AMG. They finished third for car number 5. See, my brain's getting distorted with all these numbers. 4th place, the number 33 Belgian Audi Club Team WRT. And 5th place, the number 89 AKA ASP Mercedes AMG. Pro-Am Cup class, the top 5 in that category, won by a Bentley, number 88. Oh, not a Bentley, an Aston Martin. See. The class winners, Garage 59, Aston Martin, number 188, Marvin Kirchhofer, Chris Goodwin, and Alex West. And a German, a Swede, and a British driver in a British car win that class overall in the category 77 car. Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini, 2nd in the Pro-Am Cup class. 3rd place, the number 93, Sky Tempesta Racing Ferrari. 4th place, the number 19, Orange 1 FFF Racing Team Lamborghini. And 5th place, the number 74, Ram Racing Mercedes AMG. Rounded out the top 5. Only two cars in the AM Cup class that ran. The CMR Bentley. Yes, this was a class where the Bentley won. The number 108 car, CMR Bentley. Continental GT3 drivers, an all-French lineup with Stéphane Chubaudy, Philippe Chatelet, and Nicolas Misselin. I got to learn French one day. Over the number 26 car, Scintilla Racing Audi in the AM Cup. All right, so that's the end of the GT World Challenge Europe. The SRO series does have one more race in the Intercontinental GT World Challenge. The Worldwide Championship will finish. They will finish at Kalami Circuit in South Africa for the 9 hours of Kalami, and I think that race is in December. So with that said, we just have the Macau Grand Prix to cover. Macau, and the last race of the MotoGP season. So let's discuss Macau. Macau is a very interesting piece of land.
It is.
It's actually part of China, just off the mainland. People speak Portuguese and Chinese over there. It's actually a former colony of the Portuguese Empire, just according to Wikipedia.
I just sent the link for the entry lists.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Don't worry about them, but at least I'll have something to refer to. Your usual Formula 3 drivers will not be there for this year because of the pandemic.
And also,
but the Capital will get their classic race of the year.
Yeah, it's the Formula 4s. They're going to be racing there. Which is not...
I don't think... Did we get motorcycles this year?
No, there's no motorcycles. I'm looking here. There's many drivers in the Central List from China. There's, I think,
the Chinese Formula 4 Championship that these entries are coming from.
There's 2 from Hong Kong and two from Macau, 2 from Hong Kong, and the others are all from China.
Right. So let's go over some history of the race. So Richard Verschoor won last year for MP Motorsport, and we go back to the first race, 1954. Eduardo de Carvalho won in a Triumph TR2. So classic car for sure. In terms of the records for wins here by a driver in the Macau Grand Prix car race, John McDonald 4 times, more than any other driver.
Wow.
No one could break the 2-win mark except for McDonald. 2 wins, including Jan Bussell, Antonio Felix da Costa, Arsenio Laurel, Jeff Lees, Eduardo Mortara, Felix Rosenquist, Vert Schuppan, and Dan Ticktum.
Yep.
But this year, it is the Chinese Formula 4 drivers that mostly comprise of the traditional Macau Grand Prix Formula 3 race. And if you want to make a statement in Formula 1 or as an open wheel driver, this is step one for many of these drivers.
Yeah, Macau, winning the Macau Grand Prix, like winning one is hard enough. Because this track, there's some parts you see, there's like, at the end of the track, oh, it's wide enough. There's some parts where it's really tight. There is parts where you gotta really, you have a chance to hit the walls because it's narrow, which you don't want to make mistakes in that areas of the track because it is a hard track to learn. Yeah, it's harder than people say Monaco is bad. I'm like, Monaco is not bad compared to Macau. Oh, yeah, Macau is really hard. Like,
it's hard enough to even go through the track on a warm-up lap.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you can go one wide and one corner. Like, Macau will test your precision, your cornering speed, depth perception. Am I missing anything? I think I'm missing plenty of things to describe the Macau Grand Prix at the Goya circuit.
Yeah, like.
But hey, we do have Formula 4 for the usual open wheel racing to start the show. But we also have the GT Cup, which will comprise of GT3s. The Goya race, they are touring cars. Then the Macau Touring Car Cup, which have a little lesser speed in the touring cars, and the Greater Bay Area GT Cup.
I actually was just looking at the Macau Grand Prix winners. Just looking through, I just saw that Ricardo Patrese actually won 2 Macau Grand Prix in a row. Roberto Moreno, Ayrton Senna, Enrico Bertaglia. Just looking through, there is some F1 drivers that won at Macau before.
Oh, yeah.
The last
Schumacher.
Yeah.
Oh, what were you saying there, Justin?
I was saying I'm trying to figure out who was the. I'm just looking through trying to figure. Wait.
Last Formula 1 driver to win Macau?
I think I found it. Wait, no. Oh, found it. 2005. Lucas Di Grassi won in 05. Because then it was Conway 06, Jarvis 07.
Might call me race F1.
But doesn't say that he has. According to this, he only raced in.
I think it was just a test driver.
Yeah, he was just a test driver. He never raced the actual season. Like
it was part of that Honda F1 team that
kind
of fumbled.
But like for me, I'm saying about the actual like
right,
like an actual
start a Grand Prix.
Yeah, Di Grassi was the last one in 2005. So yeah,
I think we'll definitely be entertained by a good race, a fun, exciting event.
Yeah.
I always hope for the safety of these drivers because running that circuit is a tough thing to do. With that said, some some NASCAR news that we had lately: John Hunter Nemechek will not drive for Front Row Motorsports next year. He was part of the rookie class. There are rumors Corey LaJoie might be in that car. I don't know if that's like a.
We're still waiting on details because
On that.
McDowell, we don't know if he's returning. That's still not confirmed about Michael McDowell's 2021 plans.
Yeah, Roush Family Racing to change some roles. Jimmy Fending, the 2004 championship crew chief, who won the championship with Kurt Busch, the second and most recent championship for Roush Family Racing, will become executive vice president for the team. Might be a good move. The W Series, the female open wheel racing series, will be part of the Formula One Grand Prix weekend starting 2021. 8 times they'll be with F1 next year. Daniel Hemrick to Joe Gibbs Racing. How about that?
Yeah, the number 18.
Jeb Burton to number 10, Colleague Racing.
Yeah.
Who will win first?
For me, I feel like one of them, but like I don't know who for sure because they're both good drivers. But I expect both to get a win this because like Joe Gibbs Racing is one of the is a really good team because Hemrick's going to be paired with Brandon Jones and Harrison Byrne. And then at Colleague, Jeb Burns going to be paired with Justin Haley and AJ Allmendinger, who's Allmendinger's running different races because he's going to be running. He's also going to
be the Sports Car Championship.
Yeah, and also commentating in the races he's not in IMSA. He's a color commentator for IMSA.
Yeah. By the way, Chip Ganassi Racing, they confirmed a DPI program.
Yeah.
That's confirmed. I think I'm missing anything. How about the truck series? I hear that Lyra Motorsports, a team that was an okay ARCA team, actually Ryan won twice for them in 2015, and after unsuccessful attempts at a truck series season in 2016, they went hiatus. They are back next year. Logan Mursaka will drive the truck.
Yeah, there's no number yet. Somebody said 13. I'm like, no, 13 is Motorsport.
I think
we'll see.
Mursaka is going to run the ARCA championship part-time last time I checked.
Yeah, like, it's so... I heard also there's going to be 3 drivers that Lyra announced. There's also Juan Manuel Gonzalez, who last ran for Jennifer Jo Cobb Racing last year in the trucks, which he's going to run races, which... Yeah, Lyra Motorsports. I still remember when Corbin Forrester's mistake in practice. Like, he just went too fast, went back up the track, and almost hit Tyler Reddick in the 29.
That has got to be one of the scariest things I've seen as a race fan.
Yeah, if I'm Tyler Reddick, I'm like, ooh, that was really close for Reddick getting into the wall or getting hit by Forrester.
Also, new next-gen NASCAR Cup testing took place at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the road course dubbed Roval earlier today with championship drivers Martin Truex Jr. and Kurt Busch testing out, I believe, the transmission.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be they're supposed to run a paddle shift, 5-speed or 6-speed transmission, or a sequential stick.
It's a 5-gear, the sequential shift. I heard that Truex and Kurt Busch said the shifter felt smoother, like, so you don't lock up too much, like you don't have to focus on, like, you know, when you have the form.
You have the H pattern shifter, you have to do more work, a little more work than.
And I heard that the
paddles,
car
or the sequential.
Like, I guess this year and last year, people were running 85-second lap times. They were breaking into 83 to 84-second lap times. So they were like a second faster.
Also, about the transmission, will they go to a 5-speed transmission or a 6-speed transmission? That is still yet to be decided. They're experimenting. And the bigger question is, how are you going to do this on ovals?
I don't know. I know probably racing with that on ovals.
2 years. You may let's say if you're a 6-speed transmission at Daytona, you want to conserve fuel. You might not shift on the straightaway, or maybe like Atlanta, or how about Atlanta or something, a faster track, Pocono. I can't wait to see Pocono if they do as they say.
Well, it's gonna be really interesting because like we usually see NASCAR stock cars just 4 gears and all that, and it's the H pattern shifter, which sometimes usually those H patterns. I remember when in 2017 when Dale Jr. broke his transmission in practice and in the race, which that yeah, just remember.
I don't want to be the person that has to tell everyone get with the times, but eventually the H pattern is going to go away. We saw that in sports car racing. Touring car racing, I don't even think they have it anymore.
No, they don't.
Yeah, it's all sequential now. Especially if the whole what's the word? I'm trying to find it. Like saving. Yeah. To race economically friendly.
Yeah, it's like I remember in F1. Remember when they developed the paddle shifters. I guess that the 40 team, which that was a previous F1 team, I heard that they had a manual gearbox, like a shifter one, like that they used to use in F1 cars till 1995. Yeah. So even low budget teams raced with the non-paddle shifters till like the late 90s. Which is just interesting hearing about that.
I mean, to be fair, I think we're all going to miss that aspect of seeing people, having to do the extra work to shift a car. Nowadays, times are changing. Look at the single lug nut now on tires.
Yeah, because it used to be 5 lug nuts. Now it's only 1.
Right. So this weekend we'll watch the Macau Grand Prix. So stay up late if you live here in the States or in Canada.
Yeah. If you live like in that area of like Macau or something, well, it's gonna be the day but in North America it's gonna be nighttime.
Right. That should be interesting. Always fun watching those cars go around that circuit. It takes bravery. Yeah. All right. So unfortunately, Daniel wasn't able to join us. He was busy tonight. He came on for 2 seconds to say hi, but we'll have him on again next week. And so sports car racing comes to an end. And by the way, watch his vlog on Danny Aguirre 48 on YouTube. He went to Cars and Coffee somewhere in New York and was in a ride in a Lamborghini. You should see his reaction. He was ballistic when that thing accelerated. All right. So Justin and me, I'm Joe. Have a good night. And we'll see you next week for episode number 86. Till then, take care.